everybody, it's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to talk you through all of the prompts for this year's round of the Roll of Reads readathon. So yes, I'm trying something new today, which is not wearing my glasses, because the last few videos that I have filmed, I've ended up with a lot of glare coming off the glasses and I find it distracting, so I assume that you guys probably do too, so that's what we're doing. Anyway, so this is the video in which I am going to go through all of the prompts and tell you kind of generally what inspired me to make that prompt, or what you have to do with the prompt. This is for the readathon Roll of Reads. So Roll of Reads is the TBR game that I used to play every month, and last year I decided that in March, since it's my birthday, I would do a readathon based around my TBR game Roll of Reads. So that is what I did, and it was really successful. Everyone seemed to enjoy it. I had a really great time, so I'm bringing it back in 2023. I have changed some of the prompts, and yeah, in this video I'm going to go through what all the prompts are, like I said. For all the information about the readathon and how to participate, how to play, how to go into the giveaway draw, I will link the announcement video down below in the description and also in the eye up above. So if you are interested in joining the readathon, please go ahead and watch that video. It has all the information that you will need. In the description also I have included a FAQ, so frequently asked questions, document that has all of the information that you will need as well. So it has the submission form for the giveaway, it has the Twitter, it has all of the prompts, it has how you play, it has what you'll need, all the stuff that you need in order to join in the readathon, how to join the giveaway, all of those things in that FAQ sheet. Also in the description below I have included the actual prompt cards, so the prompt cards that you need in order to play the game, and I also have a photograph of my game board which I will use to make my TBR, which you can print out and use yourself as well. However, as I said in the announcement video, you don't actually need to print out the board or the prompt cards. If you would rather, you can go ahead and make both yourself. However, please make sure you're using my prompt that I'm going to be talking about in this video, because otherwise you're not actually doing the readathon. But yeah, so the prompt cards are in the description below. I'm going to go through now and tell you what they all are, and I will put an image of the prompt card just up here, and yeah, it's all in the description like I keep saying. So let's do that, shall we? It's just in the order in which I wrote them out. There's no particular reason for the order, it's just how I ended up putting them up. I also am going to be looking down this way, that's why my computer is with all the information, because I don't remember everything off the top of my head. And then also, before I actually dive in, I just wanted to let you know as well that some of the prompts are going to be based on my new TBR game. So I created a new TBR game called TBR Campaign, and I have included some prompts that are based on that, just so it is sort of inclusive of both games, because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do Roll of Reads or TBR Campaign for the readathon. Decided on Roll of Reads because I could include the prompt cards. But yes, let's do that now. Okay, so the first prompt card is a book battle. What you need to do for this one is you need to pick two books. One book that you are very excited to read, that you really want to read in March or ASAP, and a book that you aren't necessarily as excited to read. So for whatever reason, maybe it intimidates you, maybe you're just not in the mood for it, maybe you bought it but you're not certain about it anymore. For whatever reason, you're not as hyped to read it as the other one, and they are going to be against each other in a battle. Alright, and then you need to get a d20. You're going to roll this twice, and you might assign the first roll will be for the book you're most excited about, the second roll will be for the book you're not so excited about. Roll your d20 once, that's your first book. Roll your d20 twice, that's your second book. Whichever one gets the highest score is the book that you're going to read. Alternatively, you can roll two d20s, and whichever one gets the highest score, that is the one that you're going to read. So that is how you do the book battle. That is the first of the prompts that come from TBR Campaign. Next up is BookTuber's favourite book. This one we had last year as well, and it is one that I know a lot of people enjoy doing. So for this one, choose a BookTuber. It could be any BookTuber that you want to choose, and then choose a favourite book of theirs that you would like to read. Then we are going into a series of prompts that are based on my TBR campaign, and they are D&D character races, and each character race has a particular genre or format or style of book. So first up we have Dwarf. For this you need to read a historical fiction, a literary fiction, a classic, or a non-fiction. Then we have Halfling, and for a Halfling you need to read a short story or a book of short stories, a novella, a graphic novel, manga, or comic. For Elf, you need to read a fantasy, sci-fi, magical realism, or a book that has some kind of fantastical or fabulism element in it. Then we have Human, and for this one you need to read a contemporary, romance, or women's fiction. For Orc, you need to read a horror, thriller, mystery, or dark academia, or something gothic. For Half Elf, you need to read a young adult book or a middle grade book. So that is the character races. Then we have Australian author. This is because, of course, I am Australian, so choose any book that is written by an Australian author and read that. Then we have First Nations author. What I've written in the fact sheet is, in honour of Australia's First Nations people, read a book written by an Indigenous or First Nations author. They don't have to be Australian, but it would be cool if they were. Then we have the prompt BIPOC author. BIPOC is an acronym for Black, Indigenous and Person of Colour. So read a book by a person who identifies as Black, Indigenous or a person of colour. Then we have the prompt LGBTQIA+ rep. So again, that acronym stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, intersex, asexual and plus. Anyone that identifies within that broad overarching concept. So basically you need to read a book that somehow has LGBTQIA+ rep. So it could be the main character is LGBTQIA+, the author is LGBTQIA+, however it is that the rep is in there, but please do check Own Voices reviews to make sure that it is truly representative. Alright, then we have the prompt set somewhere you've been. So this could be anywhere that you've been. It could be where you currently live, it could be where you were originally from, it could be somewhere that you've been to on vacation, it could be somewhere that you did a stopover on your way to somewhere else. Anywhere that you have been, read a book that is set in that place. Then we have the prompt which is the opposite of that, and that is set somewhere you've never been. So same concept but in reverse, somewhere you've never been. You can include a fantastical land in that as well. Mel recommends. Same as BookTuber's favourite, but this time a book that I have recommended. So I have on my channel a playlist with a bunch of videos where I talk about favourites, so it could be favourites of a particular year, favourites of all time. I do have a series on my channel where I recommend books to other booktubers. I also do have, I think, a couple of videos where I recommend Australian authors, so those sorts of ones. If you get that card, pick any of the books of any of those videos and read it. Then we have the prompt featured in Heartstopper. So it could be featured in the graphic novel series or it could be featured in the Netflix TV series. So I've changed last year's prompt of the Gilmore Girls, same concept, and made it Heartstopper because, as you guys would be aware, last year in around April I became completely obsessed with Heartstopper, specifically more the TV show, but all of the Heartstopper things. So I thought that this would be a fun one, particularly given that in the graphic novel series it states that one of Charlie's favourite things to do is reading, and there is a lot of references to books. There are books in his bookcase, there are posters from different books, and throughout the TV series Isaac is always reading a book. Whenever he is on set he has a book in his hands. So I just thought that it fit the kind of main theme, and so this year we are doing read a book that is in Heartstopper. It wasn't quite as easy to find all of the books for that as it was for the Gilmore Girls, but I have gone through and I have looked at a BuzzFeed list, I think, that I found. I have looked at the actual graphic novel series. I've looked at a few different booktubers and bloggers who have read some of the books that appear in the TV show as well. So I have put a list, which again is linked to in the fact sheet. So there's a separate list with all of the books that I could tell. It was a bit difficult looking at clips from Heartstopper because it wasn't always in focus, but I've done my best and found books that are mentioned or are on the walls or in the bookcases in the Heartstoppers TV show and the graphic novels. I keep putting it that way because that's where they are on my shelves. Yeah, so that's there. If you get this card, you can go ahead and have a look and pick one of those. The next prompt is join in an online book club. There are so many online book clubs. So many different booktubers run them, so many different other organisations run them, Facebook groups, bloggers, lots and lots of different people run book clubs. So if you get this prompt, just pick a book club and read the book that they are reading for March. You could choose the Last to Read book club, which is the book club that I run with Ellie and Lana, and the information for that, including our Ko-Fi and our Etsy store, are down below. So if you want to join us at any of those things, have a look at our Etsy store, all that stuff, it's all in the description below as well. For March, we are reading A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. So if that book is something that appeals to you and you haven't read it or you want to reread it, obviously, please go ahead and join us. We would absolutely love to have you. But like I said, there are so many other book clubs that you could have a look at joining for this round or that you already follow along with as well. Off the top of my head, I can say that Chloe from Chloe Reads Books runs Chloe's Crime Scene Corner. I'm not sure what her book is for March, but that's an option. There's also the Recreate Book Club, which is run by Ashley from Ashley's Media Addiction and Rachel from Rattle the Stars. Lots of different Patreons and Ko-Fis have book clubs that you could use as well. So your options are pretty much endless. But yeah, if you get this card, just join in an online book club and read their March book. I'd absolutely love it if it was mine, but it doesn't have to be. Next prompt is treat your shelf. This is probably fairly self-explanatory. If you get this card, feel free to buy a book and read it in the month of March. Then we have gifted or from a sub box. Again, probably fairly self-explanatory. A book that was given to you by anyone or a book that you received in a subscription box, whether that be Fairy Loot, Illumicrate, or what have you. Then we have incorporate another readathon prompt. So just like book clubs, there are many readathons that happen throughout the entire year. There are no doubt going to be many going on in March. I don't know off the top of my head what all they will be, but I'm sure there'll be a lot. I will direct you, I can't link it yet because it's not up yet, but I'll direct you to Paige from Pages with Paige's channel because she does a video at the end of every month for the next month coming that has all the readathons. So if you want to know what you can do for that, but it basically is because I myself and many other people like to do more than one readathon, so chances are if you're doing the roll of reads, you're also doing another readathon, and I just thought this would be a nice way to make it a little bit easier for us to incorporate the different prompts. So that's that one. Then we have friend picks. Again, probably pretty self-explanatory. Choose a friend and have them choose a book for you. It can be any friend. It can be a BookTube friend or a book blogger friend, an Instagram friend. It can be your actual in real life friend. It can be your partner, whoever it is that you would like to choose a book and however you want them to choose it, whether you send them your want to reads shelf on Goodreads or a photo of your TBR shelf, however you want to do that. When you get this card, get a friend to pick a book for you. Then we have main character over 30. I am turning 43 this year and I was going to make it over 40, but I know that can be quite tricky. So I decided to make it over 30. But basically, I'm over 30, so therefore, because it's my birthday and that's why we're doing this readathon, you need to pick a book that has a main character over the age of 30. Next prompt is continue a series. Again, I think you know what I'm talking about. Any series that you are some of the way through, pick the next book and read it. Then we have the prompt, a book you're intimidated by. So pick any book that intimidates you for whatever reason. Maybe it's very long. Maybe it's in a format or style you don't read very often. Maybe it's a genre you don't read very often. Maybe it deals with a topic that is going to be hard-hitting and that intimidates you. Whatever it is that you find intimidating, that's what the prompt refers to. Then we have it takes place on an island. I currently live in Tasmania, which is the small island state right down the bottom of Australia. Australia itself is the largest island country in the world, so kind of have a double whammy there. So that's why I decided that you need to read a book that takes place on an island. The island itself can be a big island that is a country or nation state. You could choose an island that is in the middle of a lake. However you interpret that, if you get this, you need to find a book that takes place mostly on an island. It doesn't have to be the entire book, but most of the action needs to take place on an island. The next bunch of prompts are from TBR campaign again, and these are the prompts that are to do with the character classes. So the first one is Barbarian, and for this you need to read a book that is predominantly set in a rural setting. Then we have Bard, so a book featuring music or has an instrument on the cover. Next prompt is Cleric, a book that features religion or mythology. A Druid, and that is to read a book that features an animal in some capacity. So it could be a book where the characters are personified animals. It could be a character has an animal companion. It could be a mythical creature in the story somehow. But as long as there is an animal or a mythical creature in the book or on the cover, you fulfilled the prompt. Alright, next up is a fighter. So you need to read a book that features war and or a battle. A paladin, predominantly set in a city or urban environment. A ranger, a book that features travelling or a quest. A thief, a book featuring a morally grey character or non-lawful character. A sorcerer, a book set in a magical or fantasy world. A wizard, set in our world but features magic or paranormal. Then we have a mood read. I think that's pretty obvious what I mean. An indie or self-published book, so not published by a traditional publisher but by an independent publisher, or is self-published. Sorry if the angle has changed slightly, I had to swap batteries. But yeah, anyway. The next prompt is translated, and I'm going to read directly from the fact sheet just because I think what I wrote makes the most amount of sense. What I've said is any book that is translated into a language you read, as long as you're reading it in the language it was translated into from the original language. For example, you could read a book that was originally published in English but read the Spanish translation, or you could read a book that was originally published in Spanish but read the English translation. What I don't want you to do is read a book that has been translated into another language but read it in the original language, because the idea is to broaden our horizons a little bit. So yeah, don't pick a book that's originally written in English but you know it's been translated into lots of languages but you read it in English. Anyway, next prompt is mental/physical health rep, and again I'm just going to read directly off what I've written here. Health is an area that is still sorely misunderstood and often misrepresented. Read a book that features mental or physical health representation. And again, please check Own Voices reviews so that you can make sure that it is actually representative. The next prompt is use a colour generator to help you pick. So online you can find many different colour generators, colour wheels, different things like that. Have it pick a colour for you, and then whatever colour, you need to read a book that has that colour on the cover. It could be the entire cover is that colour, or it could be a cover that has different colours on the cover and that happens to be one of them. However you would prefer to interpret it, but basically randomly choose a colour and have it choose your book. And then finally, the final prompt is a buddy read or book club pick. So this is more your own. So if you happen to be in a book club, you can choose that one, or a book that you've already decided to buddy read, or a book that you want to buddy read. That's what you do with this prompt. But yeah, those are all of the prompts that I've created for this year, and those are all the explanations and a little bit of the inspiration behind what I was trying to do, why I've picked them, etc. Like I said, all the information that you need for playing the game, what you'll actually need to play the game, is in the fact sheet, which is linked below. The actual prompt cards themselves are also linked below. So I would absolutely love it if you would join me in playing Roll of Reads in March. Please do, if you are going to join Roll of Reads, please do remember to submit your form every time you read a book, because that will give you an entry into the giveaway. Also, if you are doing a TBR, and you can do the TBR anywhere that you talk about books, so you can put it on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, please do submit the form with the URL for where you've spoken about your TBR as well, so that I can see it, because I would love to see it, and also so you can have 2 entries into that giveaway as well. But yeah, that is all the information that I have for you for my prompts. Please, if you have any questions or any thoughts, please comment all of that below. The Twitter is also in the description below. Please go ahead and follow that, because that is where there will be a lot of information throughout the readathon. In the next couple of weeks, I will put up a schedule for when all of the reading sprints for the readathon will be, so keep an eye out on both the Twitter and my community tab on my channel. And yeah, that's everything I needed to tell you today. Comment any thoughts that you have down below. Let me know if you're going to be joining me in the Roll of Reads readathon. I am really excited to have people join, so please let me know that. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me a dice emoji, because you need to roll your d20 in order to pick your cards. All of my social media details are listed in the description below as well, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.